Boom! What's up, y'all? Welcome to the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Spook Realm 4Q, you are first in the building as usual. What's good? Haitian Space Program, what's up? Spook Realm says, buy the extraordinary book. My brother's name is Kenny, and assault that like button, please. Do that. Oh no, I just hit the wrong button. Okay, let me try to run through this quick so I can stay on time. We say this every week. It doesn't work, but here we go. MMA Crossfire, what up? JT, what up? Terrence Hill, what up? Jason Wall, what up? Rosmel says, Kenny, thoughts on the Fat Joe situation? I don't know what Fat Joe situation we're talking about. Can somebody enlighten me? Terrell McMillan, what's up? Sydney Rhodes, Rod Justice Hip Hop, Mike Rocks 25. I see the regulars in the building. Chef Daddy, Dartmouth, Dan Marisuti, Scarborough, Canada, Kevin Monroe, Floetry 1, MK Ultra. Says 1, 2, 3, the crew is called BDP. Absolutely. DJ Quiet Storm 101 from Beantown. Samuel Gervais, what up? Latrice Washington, what up? I don't recognize this name. Bar Heavy J, what's good? Ice Cold Beverage. Patrick Y. Oh, yeah, says Floetry 1. How's the post-surgery going? Yes, Floetry 1, please give us an update. Dylan Fry in here, North Bergen. CMC's Technique in Class. What up? Family in the building. GF Worrell. Joey Joe. Danielle. I've been destroying your name. You tell me how to say it. I destroy it anyway. But let me put you on the screen. Did you attend the Rock the Bells this past weekend? No, I did not go to Rock the Bells. I was planning to go, but I had some last minute things to do. And I chose to be responsible and do what I needed to do instead of going to have fun. Bar Heavy J, what up? Gil Maddox says Chilltown 201. Big up Chilltown, Jersey City. Rajay Phoenix from Jersey City. What's up? I do believe I'm at the bottom. Oh, shoot. I'm on time, y'all. What? Joe says, yeah, the so-called new situation is stirring around the net now. What exactly is this new situation? We're talking about Fat Joe, right? Is the situation that he was talking about his situation he had when he was in grammar school or something? And people are questioning, is that or is there more? Let's see. Gregonetta says, yo, Kenny, you should ask how he found your channel. I found Kenny Parker by accident looking for other stuff. Find out Kenny Parker is KRS-One brother. Oh, so you discovered by accident, which is good. Maybe the algorithm was doing its job. I don't know. Yeah, please hit the like button so that other like-minded people can discover the channel and we can make the channel grow. I will be posting the first series. I'm starting a beat series. I think I mentioned this on Friday. Big up to those on Friday who was listening to the beat cassette from 1991 that I dug up. Had some fun playing those beats. And I'm going to start putting beats up on this channel clearer so you guys can hear it, so you can ride out to it. Some people want to rap to it. A lot of people have been asking me how can they get some of the beats or whatever, but I'm going to put them up I'm going to start with the beats that I've already played that people have said they liked, and then I'm going to move on to new stuff. Dear Marasuti says Diddy is over. Well, I've seen two takes on that. Henry Sedilla says, look like Diddy might have beat the case. No. From what I'm seeing, the jury came back with verdicts on 4 of the 5 counts. The 5th count that they are deadlocked on, which means it seems like multiple jurors are on either side, is the racketeering. Was there a criminal organization with 2 or more people engaged in multiple crimes or whatever? And they're stuck on that. And I had a problem with that from the very beginning. The racketeering with one guy. How could you have a RICO with one guy as charged? The other cases, there's something called the Mann Act, which is pertaining to prostitution. There's 2 counts of that, Cassie and Jane. And then there's 2 counts of the trafficking, which is bringing a worker, ex-worker. I'm trying to be careful on here on YouTube because they're striking for every little thing. An ex-worker across state lines. And there's 2 counts of that, one with Cassie and one with Jane. So the jury has come back with decisions in one day on 4 of those charges. And the one that they're stuck on is racketeering. Now, did he bring an ex-worker from one place to the next and paid him? That seems pretty cut and dry. I don't know how he was going to get out of that. But the fact that they're stuck on the racketeering, because they're saying that if you found him guilty of the other 2 charges, the Mann Act and the trafficking, that's 2 crimes, then automatically racketeering should then be guilty too. But it seems like either they're finding him guilty on the sex charges, but they don't see racketeering, or they finding him not guilty on anything. So this is going to be wild. But even one of those charges is double-digit years in jail, man. MK Ultra says RICO will be a tough to prove. Prediction 10 years for the Mann Act. That I think that's about right. I think that Mann Act, especially with Cassie, because it's do you believe Cassie and Jane? Do you believe that they were coerced, or do you believe that a lot of it was on their own? They did it on their own. If you believe one of those girls, then the Mann Act will stand. I've been trying to stay away from the Diddy trial. Everybody is just Diddy trialed out. But this is going to be interesting. Rosmel said, Fat Joe is being sued by former hype man for engaging in acts with minors. I think I saw that come across my feed. I didn't really dig into it much. But what is the hype man suing? Is the hype man suing because he felt that Joe made him participate? How do you make me participate? Because you were my boss. I was afraid for my livelihood, so I participated in a crime. And you're bringing this up decades later? I don't know. I kind of saw this. Is this going to be just like Diddy? First he gets sued, and then the criminal justice system looks into it and decides that there's a case? My comments on this is, I don't know, but it seems like every powerful person in politics, in Hollywood, in music, gets caught up in the same thing, these sex scandals. And you would seem like these guys who have, for lack of a better word, access to whatever they want, still find a way to take it to a level that's criminal. And for a person who's been in the music industry I've been in the music industry since 1990, since 1989. So you're talking 36 years. I've seen a lot of dudes do a lot of things. And it's amazing how out of control you can get thinking you're above the law. With that being said, it seems like every powerful man goes down the same way. MMA says it appears that the way Dawn, it appears that way, Dawn, but the jury is still deciding on the biggest charge, on count one, which carries a life sentence. Yeah, the racketeering, they're really split. Like the judge had to tell them to go back and deliberate some more, which means they came to the judge and said, Joe, we are stuck here. And the judge said, go back and work on it some more. That's good for Diddy. But the fact that the other ones came in, bing, 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 I don't know. This is going to be wild, whatever it is. Flochi One says, at JT, yeah, it's just a lot of staying off my feet and I can't really exercise. I love to walk, me too, etc. Movement is like my feel-good thing, my feel-good drug, so I'll be happy to go hiking when I can. Peace, MMA. Yes, Flochi One, like we spoke, I think we mentioned this on Friday, that Flochi One had hip surgery. So get well as soon as possible. Take it easy. Don't force the issue and make it worse. Trust the process. MK Ultra says we need that Homemade as a DJ KP show theme. So you know what's funny about that Homemade? I used that beat before. I used that beat on an independent artist in 1999 out of Detroit. I think his name was B-Def. We flew out to Detroit, and I'm gonna cut the air conditioner on right now, y'all, because it just got a little hot in here. It might come through. Y'all might hear it. I'm gonna cut it on for a little while, then I'm gonna cut it off. An artist named B-Def out of Detroit. I used that beat for B-Def, the Homemade. I got paid for it and everything. It came out on his album, an independent album. So now the question is, can I use it again? I might remix it a little bit. I might change the drums and flip it a little bit. I can use it again. It's my track. I might put that back up. I think I'm gonna flip the drums a little different and then put it back up. But I used that beat on an artist named B-Def, who passed away, by the way. So rest in peace to him. But so I was hesitant to put Homemade up because I already used it. But I might put it up because a lot of people like that track. So I'm gonna maybe I'll just put it up for people to rap to. And call it a day. Kenny should have his own show like the Arsenio Hall. That would be dope. Except I wouldn't do monologues. I definitely like the couch, the interview. Definitely like having guests. No monologue. MK Ultra says, KRS responded to Bam's recent civil case loss. Not that I know of. Thou Art Credible says, hey, Kenny, what about using AI to create your samples? Not to create a hit, but to make source music that you can chop as needed. Your own drums, saxophones, banjos, whatever. Well, they have programs for that. I don't even think you need AI. Well, you can use AI, I guess if it's free, but there's multiple keyboards, there's multiple sounds you can buy, there's multiple places you can find any sounds that you want. Right now, Kenny Parker in the future might speak differently, but Kenny Parker in the year 2025 has no interest in using AI in any forms to create music. I want my music to be organic and be an extension of me and how I'm feeling. Um, so no, I would not use AI at this moment. Who knows how I feel in the future? Mike Rock says the Mann Act is an old law that has ties with black men dating white women. Exactly. The Mann Act was actually started in racism. You're right, to keep black men from dating white women. But it somehow morphed into some form of pimping. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the exact terminology, but they're trying to say that Diddy was pimping Cassie, basically. And pimping Cassie is a crime. And bringing workers from one state to the next is trafficking. So if you believe Cassie was under duress for 10 years, and all the stuff she did in 10 years, even when she agreed to the freak offs and did freak offs without Puffy and all of that, if you believe that she did that because she was afraid, then he's going to lose the Mann Act. If you believe that, she was down with it and it was just wild sex, and he might beat that. This is going to be interesting to see how this turns out. I'm going to cut the AC off now. Can y'all hear the AC? Somebody tell me if you can hear the AC. Danielle says, Yo, KP, are you aware of the new EP that Chris has coming out with Domingo? No. And it's funny, they had legal issues, KRS and Domingo. It might be stuff, because I know Chris did some music with Domingo years ago. It might be old rhymes that's coming out. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about that. Joey Joe says, I doubt the Diddy case will end the way we think it will. I agree. But I think he will get some time, but not a lot. That's just me, yeah. But I think the judge is going to try to throw the book at it. Whatever he gets, whatever he's found guilty of, they're going to try to give him the maximum. I believe that. Let me scroll down a little bit. FE2 says, yeah, Fat Joe sued him first, then dude sued him back. So wait, Fat Joe sued for something else, and then dude turned around and sued him back? I don't see this. I don't know where this is going, but I don't know. FE2 says, Fat Joe has been into nonsense for years. I have no idea what Fat Joe is into. I consider Fat Joe a homie. I've known Fat Joe since 92. I've known Fat Joe since 91. I consider him a homie. He's a good friend of BDP. I have no idea what he's into, but I believe let justice be served. Whatever a person is into, let justice be served. Floji1 says, yeah, I haven't kept up on Diddy. It's all so sad state of affairs. It really is, but what it is actually only thing that I think is good that's come out of this is it has exposed a lot of what has been going on in the music industry for a long time, since before we were born, but just in the hip hop era. And a lot of people made claims and they were considered lying People roll their eyes, disgruntled employees, conspiracy theorists. But now a lot of the things that were considered conspiracies are now coming to pass. People are seeing that this eyes wide shut world that these elites are living in is real. And so for that, I think it's good. The sad part is the multitudes of women who have been humiliated and lives destroyed for the whims of certain powerful men. And I hope they all get what's coming to them. JT says hip-hop is being destroyed from the inside out, it seems. Inside out, outside in. But it's no different. First of all, Diddy is not the only guy. Diddy is not the only guy. Let's get that clear. He is not the only guy. He was not at those parties by himself. He was not the only celebrity there. There's a lot of people really, really quiet right now that were friends of Diddy. And this is, it's not so much hip hop, it's just entertainment. Like I said, it's no different in the movies, it's no different in hip hop, music, politics. Anytime you get a bunch of rich and powerful men and throw in some young men in there, this is going to happen, in my opinion. CMCs, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. As usual, you always come through. I really appreciate it. Says, OKP, I want to salute De La Soul for releasing the video Rock Cocaine Flow featuring MF Doom from the Grind Date album tomorrow morning. I did see that. I saw something like that. I didn't know exactly what it was. That's what it is they're releasing. Is it a new video? Like, are they doing videos for old songs? I like when artists do that. Or is it a video that was already done and they're just releasing it? I assume that they're doing a new video for an old song. That's dope. I did not know that was coming out. We'll check that out. As you guys know on this channel, the Native Tongues are my favorite collective. Let me scroll down just a little bit. Mike Rock says, let's move on from this topic. Oh. I watched the WNBA Sunday and them girls were balling hard. I mean, they ball hard every night. I watch a lot of WNBA games and it's very physical and very competitive. A lot of people are just getting into it because of Caitlin Clark, but it's been very competitive and a lot of drama for a long time. And I just saw that the WNBA is expanding to 3 more cities in the next 3 years. That's incredible. Good for them. Get that money. Sweet Goldilocks, what up? Diddy been acting reckless for a long time. He thinks he's untouchable, but he has been untouchable. Just get you a girl and enjoy life. I mean, that's easy. You can't tell a person what their sexual life should be. I mean, maybe get you a girl is cool for some people. In many parts of the world, get you 10 women is normal. A harem. For some guys are forever playboys. Some guys get married and don't give up the playboy life. I wouldn't say for one guy, I wouldn't tell anybody what to do with their own personal preferences. Diddy has been untouchable for decades because this has been going on for decades. For some reason, recently, I feel he's pissed off some powerful people and they decided to stop protecting him. I really feel that because there's no way, this avalanche of stuff that has hit him in the past 2 years, just a wave. You know what's so crazy too that they didn't mention? The government is trying to take all his money too. He was originally worth 800 million, I read. He lost half of his net worth in the past couple of years. Now he's down to 400 million, down to 400 million. But the government is trying to seize all of that. His life savings, all his work, gone. His catalog, everything. BLVK Mira. I don't know how to pronounce that. KP, what do you think about the Knicks trying to hire Dawn Staley? I think it's a publicity stunt. Same way all of these teams are trying to hire Becky Hammon. Remember that? When Becky Hammon was like the first assistant under Greg Popovich, she was next in line for that job. She was groomed by Pop. She was ready to go. She had multiple interviews with multiple teams, and nobody hired her. That's when she finally decided, like, you know what, I'm going back to the WNBA. They're giving me $1 million a year to coach. I'm out of here. So now you're going to take Dawn Staley, who has never coached men in her entire career, has never even coached professional WNBA in her career. She's a college coach. And we're now going to decide to take her and put her in charge of the New York Knicks. I'm not saying she can't do it, but I'm saying that seems very out of the box. And the Knicks are not really an out of the box type organization. So me personally, I think it's a publicity stunt. It remains to be seen. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I eat my words and that Dawn Staley breaks the glass ceiling and become the first women's head coach in the NBA. I don't think it's going to happen. JT says, at Latrice Washington, I don't think we did pay homage to Yarborough and Peoples has some tunes. Yes, big up to Yarborough, who just passed away. I believe it was the beginning of the week. I'm most familiar with his song, Don't Stop the Music. That was a big song in New York when I was a kid. I remember that song being on all the time with the robotic voice in it. And I love Just Because It's 2 o'clock don't mean that we have to stop. And I remember being a kid thinking, they outside at 2 o'clock in the morning. Wow. I remember thinking like, yo, grown people get to be outside at 2 o'clock in the morning and they're saying we don't have to stop. That's crazy. Yeah, big up Yarborough and Peoples. I play that record all the time, actually. And what made that record dope was that it was a dance record, but it was slower, considerably slower than the dance records of the time, but it still broke through. Yes, big up to them. Let's see. Rod Justice says, I can't hear the AC, Kenny. You could do better than that. Louder. If you can't hear the AC, that's good. I think I'm going to leave it on because it's literally 3 feet from me. But the way this mic is that I have on, I have the wireless on. I think it's just capturing right here, which is good. Beyond the Matrix says, first Detroit rapper I heard was MC Breed. R.I.P. to Breed. Yeah, man. Ain't no future in your frontin'. Big up MC Breed. I believe we met. I believe we did a show with MC Breed once. I believe in my time with BDP, we did a show with MC Breed. Yep. Patrick Wise says, Caitlin Clark, the 9th best point guard, or meant guard in the WNBA voted by the players. She getting more disrespected than Rodney D. I think there is some disrespect there, but she has, but you know what? You got to really look at that. They're asking right now in 2025, who are the best guards in the WNBA? And I believe most teams are about what? 16, 17 games in to a 44-game season. So we're not quite at the half-point mark. So I think she's played. I think her team has played 16 games. She's been hurt. She's only played 8 of the 16 games, and in the 8 that she played, I think she was like spectacular in like 3 of them or 4 of them, and like 4 of them she struggled. So, if the question is right now in this part of the season, where would you rank Caitlin Clark? I think she would be somewhere around 6, in my opinion. 6. There's easily 5 guards in the WNBA that has had better season than Caitlin Clark right now. Now, she could explode in the second half of the season like she did last year and become number 1 again. And it's funny because she got the most votes in the history of women's basketball to start in the All-Star game, of course. But the coaches voted her 4th. No, the media voted her 4th, and the players voted her 9th. I think she's somewhere around 5 or 6. I think 9th is a hate. And I think 1 is a fans just being that, she's the biggest star. She's the biggest women's star in all of sports right now. I would say, considering that Serena has retired, Caitlin Clark is probably the biggest star in all of sports. She pulls in more numbers than the NBA in some cases. But yeah, that's funny that I saw that. I don't think it's disrespect. It's a slight disrespect. I don't think it's a huge disrespect. Scuba says, Be Def and Poncho. I believe that's what it was, out of Detroit. There's a song on there. I can't remember the name of it, but that beat that I did homemade is on that beat. Is on that album. Joey Joe says, I'm from South Carolina. They letting Doris Staley move away from the Gamecocks. What she got going over there, she can make comparable money. She's probably getting what, $2-3 million a year at South Carolina. What are they going to give her in the NBA? 5? A new coach? There's job security is incredible at South Carolina. Job security in the NBA is terrible, and then on the Knicks is even worse. I don't even know if that's a good move for her, but maybe if you just, you want to be in that next level. This is interesting. Nev Ed Official says, Yo, Kenny, what did you think of Definition from Black Star when they redid PS3 and Stop the Violence? I'll tell you a story about that. There was a show. There was a club called Tramps in New York City back in, I believe it was 98. And there was 2 shows that week. A Tribe Called Quest was performing, and I think it was their last show, the last Tribe Called Quest show. They were retired. They were calling it their last show. I was there. And then a few days later, BDP was going to perform at the same place with Tramps. I believe Helter Skelter was on the bill too. I believe Sean Price and Rock and all of them was there. So I went to the Tribe Called Quest concert, and I actually announced, was doing some hosting. One of the people who was running the show asked me to come on stage and just introduce some of the groups, which I did. And the DJ, I believe it might have been DJ Spinner, if I recall. It was Spinner. I think it was DJ Spinner was DJing. Yeah, he was. And he was playing records in between sets. And he played Definition. As soon as I heard that, Lord have mercy, and the beat dropped, I'm like, oh, they did the PS3 over. Then when I heard the flow and everything, I'm like, yo, this is incredible. Yo, I ran up to Spin. I'm like, who is that? He was like, it's Mos Def. And he said Talib, but at the time, I never heard of Talib. I barely heard of Mos Def. And he's like, it's Most Def. And so I was like, yo, I got to get this record. And Spinner gave me one of his copies. He said, I have another one. He gave me that song, Definition. So a little while later, Tribe comes on and Most Def was there. And he comes out and he introduces Tribe. And so I believe I met Most Def backstage, I believe that day. Fast forward to a few days later when BDP had the show, in soundcheck, I said, yo, Chris, you got to listen to this. And I played him Definition. And he loved it. He says, as a matter of fact, when we do the P is Free tonight, throw on their instrumental instead of the original. So when we was rocking, when it was time for us to do the P is Free, I threw on Definition and Chris rhymed over that. That's how much I loved it, and that's how much he loved it too. After the show, I was leaving, walking out to catch up with my friends, and there was a bunch of guys at the corner, and one of them stopped me and said, Joe, thank you so much for playing my song. And I was like, you know, your song. And he was like, you played Definition. I'm Talib Kweli. I'm on that record. And I was like, oh, okay. That's the first time I met him. He was a guy, I didn't know what he looked like. And he thanked me for playing his song. So I met Talib outside after the BDP show. So long-winded answer, I loved Definition. And I believe that KRS loved it too. And we used it in the show like 2 days later after I got the record. I don't even know if it was in stores yet. So big up DJ Spinner. Big up Mighty Mos, Yasin Bey. That's my dude. Big up Talib Kweli. Big up his manager, Disco D. That's my girl. Yeah, great question. Scuba says, RIP, be deaf. Yeah, he was mad cool. I went out there to Detroit with DR Period from New York, best known for his work with MOP and Smooth the Hustler. And I think they picked like 3 of his beats, 2 or 3 of his beats to be on that album. I remember that DR Period was playing some ridiculous beats in there. I was like, oh my goodness. This is right around the time of Annie Up. I'm not sure if Annie Up was already out or it was about to come out, but we all flew out there together. Shout out DR Period. I have not seen him since then, but he's a dope producer. I always wondered why MOP did not use him more. He did How About Some Hardcore, and he did probably the hardest record of all time. Annie Up. And he did Annie Up. He did How About Some Hardcore and Annie Up, and they never used him again. I don't understand. Def Rocker, did you hear about an album with KRS, Rakim, G-Rap, and Kane? No. That is news to me. When is the audio book coming out? Couple months, I think. I'm working on it this morning. Let's see. Let me scroll down a little bit. Mr. Butterquab, I can't say, sorry for gotten your name. Did you guys talk about the super group yet? Just checking in. Which super group is this? Are y'all talking about the Rakim Kane thing? I'm just hearing about this for the first time. FU2 says can't hear the AC. Excellent, because it's actually very loud. Terrence Hill says no AC. Good. That means I'm behind. Let me scroll down a little bit. I'm trying to keep up. Hype Style says, I still want to see a DJ Kenny Parker scoring music for a film. How dope would that be? That would be great to see Kenny do an entire soundtrack. Yes, and I believe one of the greatest film scorers of all time passed away last week too. Now I'm gonna mess up his name. Lalo Shafire, Lalo Shafire, something like that. Sheffrin. He did many great movies of the 70s, including Dirty Harry, which had some dope beats on there. He passed away this week too as well. I want to big him up. I've actually used some of his sounds in some beats that never came out, but you guys are going to hear them. For those that's just checking in, I'm about to put a bunch of beats. I'm about to do a beat, probably a beat a week, but tomorrow morning I'm going to put up the piano beat. I'm going to put up the piano beat first tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to put up Homemade. I'm going to put that up, even though I used it for Be Deaf. I could probably use it again, but I'm going to put that up second. Now I got to find the disc. And yeah, I'm probably going to do that next couple of days. First thing is that piano beat. I'm going to put that up tomorrow morning. Kennard says, DJ Polo, R.I.P. Yeah, I believe he passed away last year. I never met Cool G Rap, but I was cool with Polo. That's a lie. I did meet Cool G Rap. Just, hey, hello, what's up, sup? I've never had more than a what's up with G Rap. But Polo was cool. I kicked it with Polo a few times. I think it's a DJ thing. Joey Joe says the hip hop police probably been wanting to bring Diddy to court for years. Absolutely. And I remember the hip hop police that used to follow a lot of the rappers around in the 90s and 2000s. I wonder if they had a BDP file. I'm curious to know what the hip hop police thought of our group. Very curious. Gregory Nurse says Usher distanced himself from Diddy. Everybody has. You have to. J. Dale Reed, oh yes. Shout out to big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. I love the Rewind crew is actually huge, way bigger than the people who actually watch the show live. So big up to the Rewind crew. I love you guys, man. Dartmouth says Daylight and Prince Paul together were forced to be reckoned with. No, yes. And for those that didn't see the Prince Paul interview on this channel, we did it a month ago. Please go back and check it out. Great interview with Prince Paul. Jason Wall said WNBA is rough like the 90s NBA. Those girls always pushing hard and shoving. Yeah, WNBA basketball is like 90s NBA, which they're going to have to clean it up because now that more eyes are on the sport, the ratings are getting bigger, they're expanding, a new CBA is coming. They're going to do the same thing that David Stern did at the end of the 90s, which is going to be open up more scoring and open up freedom of movement. Because right now, those women are seriously physical. If you're not built strong, you will get woman handled in the WNBA. Patrick Wise says the Caitlin Clark effect has been good for the WNBA. Why the hate? The Caitlin Clark has been spectacular for the WNBA, the effect. I think the hate comes from two things. It really comes from I think the Caitlin Clark fans. That because their attitude is The WNBA was nothing, and it should have folded, and everybody sucks up until Caitlin Clark got there. And without Caitlin Clark, they shouldn't even have a league, and she's the best player, and why is everybody even trying to guard her? It's basically seems to be the Caitlin Clark fans' attitude. Now, keep in mind, Caitlin Clark has literally doubled the viewership of the WNBA. But the thing with the WNBA, and I watch it a lot, that's why I'm speaking on it, was already in an upward trajectory. They've been around for 25 years, had some really down years where they thought there was going to be some subtraction. They've had subtraction, just like the NBA in the early years. But in the past 2-3 years, there seemed to be a tipping point where the WNBA started to rise. They added more teams and more expansion teams, and the viewership was up. And then Caitlin Clark happened, and she just sent it to the roof. And so the Caitlin Clark people are saying, it's only Caitlin Clark and that's it. And the other people saying, no, there's other people, and there's people that was better than Caitlin Clark. Like, she's not the best player. But Caitlin Clark fans just can't see it. And since they're in such droves, I believe that's why there's a pushback. Also, she's making all this money in endorsements. She had made more money in her first 3 months in the league than people who've been all WNBA for like a decade. There's going to be some pushback. That's just normal. Same way there was pushback on Jordan. Remember when Jordan said in the All-Star game that Magic and Isaiah and a couple guys froze him out of the All-Star game? You ever saw that? When Jordan said he got froze out of the All-Star game, there was a lot of jealousy towards Jordan when he first came in. But ultimately, Jordan was what Caitlin Clark is to the WNBA and what Tiger Woods would be to golf. She is the perfect storm, and she should be embraced for that. But also, people trying to win, man, ain't nobody giving you nothing. Let's see. Christopher Caldwell says, peace, Kenny. Why the hell Tom Chambers and Terry Cummings not in the 8th Basketball Hall of Fame? I think they're borderline players. I think one of the criteria, the criteria is practically out the window, but they asked, were you at the top of your position when you were playing, and for how many years? Now, you look at Tom Chambers and Terry Cummings, they were good players, all-star level players, but I could probably name 6 or 7 forwards off the top of my head that played during their era that were ahead of them. And that's probably why they're not Hall of Fame level, but they were fantastic players. Just my opinion. Joey Joe says, that's good. WNBA is expanding. Now all we need is South Carolina to finally get any type of major league team. NBA, WNBA, NFL, baseball, something. Wonder why that is. Is South Carolina big enough to big enough to support a team by itself? It's probably economics. Bergenet says, so Angel Reese doesn't exist, Kenny? She's a baller. Absolutely, Angel Reese exists. And Angel Reese is a big star. And I'm going to say some controversial statement. I might get some heat from this, but I think Angel Reese became a big star because of her confrontation with Caitlin Clark. She became Caitlin Clark's biggest villain, which took her to another level. I think minus Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese would probably be as popular as, I'm not going to name another player, but as popular as a WNBA All-Star would have been a few years ago. But with, when she put her hands and did all this in Caitlin Clark's face in the championship, which is probably the biggest watch championship of all time, made Angel Reese a villain, which took her status to the next level. And she's been playing that villain role. She's milked her status to, she's probably the second most popular player in the WNBA right now. And she's a fantastic basketball player. And she has things to work on, but she's an all-star level player. Big up to Angel Reese. But I think Angel Reese is a star because of Caitlin Clark. I know some people are not going to agree with me on that, but I believe that. Straight He says, KP checking in from Flatbush. Y'all know I grew up in Flatbush. Big up Flatbush. MMA says, that's true, Kenny. It's a shame the NBA wasn't real with Becky. Yeah, I mean, imagine all the meetings that she had and all of the you're right there just to be like, no. She finally had enough. And she stepped off and she did the right thing, in my opinion. Rosmel says, Hugh Hefner has been getting away with what Diddy is doing for decades. Sort of, I would say, yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. I was never at a Playboy party, but was he physically assaulting women? So the thing is, you got to imagine all of those women you would have supposedly agreed to go to the Playboy Mansion and be around him and live there, and all the celebrities came there. We never heard of Hugh Hefner assaulting anybody. We never heard of him drugging anybody. Not saying it didn't happen. I say we never heard it, and no one came forth. And now that he's passed, no one has ever come forth saying Hugh Hefner was never caught up in any Me Too movement that I know of. So that I would differentiate himself from Diddy. But as far as the parties, hell yeah. They said them dudes like Clark Gable and all them dudes from the 40s was out of control in the 40s. We just never heard about it. There was no social media. Patrick White says the Knicks just messed up by firing Tibbs before having a coach in place. This has Dolan's name all over it. The Knicks will never be really what they're supposed to be as long as Dolan is the owner, I feel. I think the Knicks thought it'd be easy to get a coach. Just, we fire him. Anybody would want this job. But a lot of the people that they wanted, they're not allowed to speak to. Keep in mind, the Knicks had a list of people they wanted to talk to. Just no other team would let their coach speak with the Knicks. So now the Knicks are talking to other people now. Joey Joe says Dawn Staley is already making over $1 million at South Carolina. Yeah, but NBA will probably give her $5 for 3 years, 5 for 3, something like that. Probably give her like a $15 million contract. Probably fire her after 2 years and pay out the contract. She probably could make a quick 15. I don't know. JT says Becky was a decent assistant coach by all accounts that I've seen. Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, if Popovich grooms you and give you his blessing, that should say a lot. But I guess it wasn't enough. Corey Flood says, I'll say it. She can't do it. We don't need women coaches in NBA basketball. I disagree, Corey Flood, but I could be wrong. Once again, I think I answered this. Tybo says, hey, KP, have you heard about the super group consisting of Kane, Coogee Rap, KRS-One, and Rakim about to do an album together? Hope they do it and it's undeniably class. So this must be new. No, I haven't heard about it. Is it really going to happen? Who's going to produce? We'll see. I have not heard. This is news to me. We've talked about this to nauseam on here. I'm not even going to give this a lot of energy. KP, what do you think about Jim Jones saying he's a better MC than Nas? Cap. Everyone has the right to their own opinion. If Jim Jones feels like he is a better rapper than Nas, he has that right. For me, Kenny Parker, I can't see what metric that Jim Jones and Nas would be even mentioned in the same breath. They're not even the same type of artist, but what metric do you measure where Jim Jones and Nas are even equal? I would like to see the argument. I'm not going to discount the argument. I have not been watching it because to me it's just a lot of noise, but I have not seen a good argument presented to how Jim Jones is better, other than he had better belt buckles. Anybody can say anything they want. The proof is in the pudding, right? KB Slade, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Says KP, Nikisha Sales is my family if you know her. I don't know her, but I know of her, of course. UConn great. I believe she played for, where did it start out? Was it the Orlando Miracle or was it Miami she played for? She played for one of the Florida WNBA teams. I think it was Orlando, and they moved to Connecticut, became the Connecticut Sun. She was like their leading scorer. I remember at UConn, wasn't she hurt? And she needed like 2 points to break some kind of milestone. And she had like a blown Achilles or ACL or something. And she limped onto the court and made a basket and limped off. Was it something like that when Nikisha Sales, or was that in Connecticut Sun? Something like that, I remember. I remember she used to shoot a lot on the baseline. I'm going through my whole Nikisha Sales scouting report in my head. Big up Nikisha Sales. Early pioneer. She reminds me a lot of Juju Watkins now, who I guess is the next big star coming down the pike. Get well soon, Juju. Is the next big star coming down the pike. Nikisha Sales, haven't heard that name in a while. Dartmouth says, thoughts on a classic Italian disco. It's so good. I have no idea what you'd have to give me an example of an American song like that. That would be that you can say. Give me an example of an Italian disco song that was big in America so I can have some kind of reference. Mike Rock says, are you kidding me? A woman coaching men in the NBA? The players jumping in coaches' faces, snatching them up, and one choking his coach? You don't want a woman in that position. Well, these are all isolated incidences. Choking the coaches is not normal. That was one time. Becky Hammond, there are other women assistant coaches in the league right now. I believe Lindsey Harding is one. But Becky Hammond has been through the ropes. She even coached the G League team to the championship. She coached San Antonio's G League team to the G League championship. She's been around enough guys. And believe me, if you're going to choke Becky Hammond, your career is over. I don't see that as being a criteria. You can't have a woman coach because she might get choked. I don't know about that. That's just my opinion. Howard Chisholm says, I know this is a dumb question, but who is Chris's biggest competition? Now or then? Now, I don't think he has. I mean, it's a different era, but back then, I guess the big three was KRS, Rakim, and Kane, right? So they were all, I guess, competing with each other. I would say those two, Kane and Rakim in his era, and KRS is one early era. LL was up here. That's why I would say Kane and Rakim, right? For the 80s, the 90s, I don't think he really had competition. It was just trying to make a hit. I really looked at like he's competing against someone. It was more like you competing against the field. Jason Wall says, breed from Flint, not Detroit. T-Breed says, breed from Flint, not Detroit. Correction. Breed is from Flint. I see a lot of people saying that. Let me scroll down a little bit. I'm trying to get a bunch of people's questions in. We're at 1 hour. For those that's just checking in, this is the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is show number 103, which means we are probably at 100 shows in a row, y'all, because the first two, I think, 2 or 3, I just came on sporadically, and we decided, let's do it every Tuesday. I think that was at like show number 3. So from like show number 3 on, we've been doing it every Tuesday. So we're at show 103. So this is 100 Tuesdays we've gotten off. This is dope. Big up to y'all. Big up to the Rewind crew. Big up to the live crew. Thank you guys so much who've been rocking with me for 100 shows. I forgot all about that. We've been here 100 weeks in a row. And now we're going to do Fridays, 8 p.m. as well. So let's go. Roger says, players in the WNBA having trouble containing their jealousy concerning Clark. Some of them, yeah. I've answered this question a bunch of times on this channel, I believe. Says, KP, did you ever play in any games against Mark Jackson while in high school or summer tournaments? I'll tell you about Mark Jackson. When I was 15 years old, Mark Jackson's like a year ahead of me. When I was 15, there was a tournament in New York City called Citywide back then. It was the biggest tournament in the city. It was the tournament that everybody played in, and it was in all 5 boroughs of New York. And then they would have a Brooklyn winner, Bronx, Manhattan. I think Staten Island and Queens were together. And then, so it was four. Staten Island and Queens was together, Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan. And then they would all play, and there'd be a city championship. And they used to have write-ups in the paper and everything about this citywide tournament. I guess this would be considered AAU by today's standard. It was the AAU tournament. I played in citywide when I was 15. And then I went to watch some other games. I just wanted to see other players. So I was watching the next level up. And this one light-skinned guy, I remember him playing. He was kind of tall, about 6'1", 6'2", was killing everybody. And I remember he used to make his layups and slap backboards real hard. Remember when slapping the backboard was the shit? You go up and you slap the backboard real hard and make a sound. Pow! That was almost like dunking on somebody. You slap the backboard. This light-skinned guy was dribbling around, getting in the lane and slapping backboards on everybody. And I remembered him. He was really good. Fast forward to my junior year of high school. Now I'm playing varsity. And we played Bishop Loughlin High School. And the lockers, we all got dressed in the same locker room area, just one team a little ways from us. So we're getting dressed, and this one guy walks past us from Bishop Lockland, and he looks at us and he says, "Good luck, fellas." Like that. Everybody's like, "Good luck, thanks." And we looked up, it was the same kid from Citywide. So I recognized him, like, oh, that's that kid from Citywide who was slapping backboards. It was Mark Jackson. We get on the court. I played for Abraham Lincoln High School. Big up to the Lincoln Rail Splitters out of Brooklyn. The score in the end of the first quarter, the score at the end of the first quarter, I believe, was 16-1. Bishop Lockland had 16. Lincoln had 1. And Mark Jackson probably had about 12 in the first quarter, slapping backboards, coming in, making a lot of layups. But he was like a forward then. So that was my first time playing against Mark Jackson. And then he ended up blowing up to become like one of the top guards in the city. So the top guards were Mark Jackson, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Pearl Washington were the 3 biggest top guards in New York City. And I got to play against Pearl and Mark Jackson. I go into great detail about Pearl Washington. Get the book. The link is in the description below. And so I played against Mark Jackson in high school. We got blown out by Bishop Lockland. Fast forward a few years later, I was in college playing in a summer tournament. All the college players played in this tournament in New York City at City College up in Harlem. And my team had Mark Jackson on it. So now he was my teammate for the summer. And what I remember was that Mark Jackson was at St. John's and he was leading the nation in assists. So I was like, oh, Mark Jackson's going to be, hooking everybody up, throwing dimes. Mark Jackson shot the ball every single time he got it. He was averaging like 40 points a game in this tournament. Mark Jackson was dropping 40 every night in this tournament, this college tournament. And all the college players from New York was in this tournament. Mark Jackson was averaging 40, and he never passed us the ball. I remember the rest of the guys on the team who wanted to quit. I remember one time this one dude, I think his name was Fred Crawford. Big up Fred Crawford. I remember he took his shirt off. One time it was a fast break, and Mark Jackson just went in for a layup but didn't pass it. And Fred Crawford took his shirt off and threw it on the ground and left. Like, man, I ain't playing with this dude. Like, Mark Jackson didn't pass the ball at all, and he didn't speak to us hardly at all. He was just a big star. And what I do remember real quick about Mark Jackson was that in this same tournament, another guy from St. John's named Shelton Jones. You remember Shelton Jones? He was like a freshman, I think, and he was on the other team. Then I was guarding Shelton Jones. And I remember Mark Jackson said, no, let me guard him. I want to guard him. And I'm like, whoa, these dudes look like they have some kind of little personal rivalry from college. Like, I was like, you go ahead, because keep in mind, Shelton Jones was like 6'7". Mark Jackson's like 6'2". But Mark Jackson's like, I got him. And Mark Jackson was elbowing him, and they was getting like real physical. Like, this looked like they had some like personal thing going on from St. John's. I was like, y'all go ahead, because I didn't want to hold Shelton Jones anyway. So long-winded answer to your question. I played against Mark Jackson in high school, and I played against him in the summer tournaments. And we never played St. John's in college. Yeah, big up Mark Jackson. Gregory Netter says there's way better WNBA players than Clark. I wouldn't say way better. There's 2 or 3. In my opinion, Caitlin Clark, when she's healthy, all said and done, is probably like the 4th best player in the league. 3 or 4. Nafisa Kalia, Asia Wilson are clearly the 2 best players in the league. Brianna Stewart is probably 3 right now, and I will put Caitlin Clark at 4 right now. That's my assessment. But she hasn't played like that this season, though. This is overall. There's not a lot of people better than Caitlin Clark. I think she's the best guard in the league, but she hasn't played like it. And Paige Beckers is on her ass. All right. I've talked enough about the WNBA. Lindell Hardy Sr. says, KP, I've always wanted to come out to NYC. Would you show a brother around? If I have time, and depending on what you want to see. Do you want to see the real New York? Or you want to see the tourist attractions? I don't know Queens that much. I didn't really hang out in Queens, and I didn't really hang out in Staten Island. So you got to take those off the table. Bronx, I lived in the Bronx when I was a kid. So the Bronx is a little shaky, but we could do a little of the Bronx. Like we can go see, you know, where Herc and all them did their thing. But Manhattan and Brooklyn, let's go. This is a tough question. April 7th artwork. Kenny, what are some of your favorite songs where your brother was sampled for the hook? Like how many MCs must get dissed? Bringing back that old New York rap. I think They Want Effects is one of my favorites. Probably right at the top. They Want Effects. That's KRS-One. Ice Cube, NWA said, gangsta, gangsta. It's not about a salary. It's all about reality. Gangsta, gangsta. I like that song. I'm going to put that up there. I'm sure there's a bunch. I'm just thinking of songs off the top of my head. Gangstar had The Girls Look So Good. X to the Next. I like that song. Big up to Preem and Guru. That would be up there too. I would have to think about that one. Definition, Most Def would be up there. That's way up there too. That's probably like a top 5. I'd probably have to think of some more to get to like a top 10. Christopher Corwell says, Tom Chambers had one of the best dunks ever over Mark Jackson. Yes. Where it seemed like Mark Jackson was trying to take the charge and he cocked it back with 2 hands. It seemed like he just stepped on something and went a little higher. It might have been, it wasn't Mark Jackson's chest, but it's like he just went to another level and banged it on Mark Jackson ridiculously. This is funny. Crusher Blackwell says, over the weekend, I was on the train wearing my BDP shirt with KRS Miss Melody D Nice on it. Dope. Standing across from me was some guy wearing a purple sweater stating illegal business controls America. That's dope. Did y'all have any kind of conversation? I'm going to scroll down a little bit because I'm trying to catch up. I'm going to jump like 50 comments. I see some WNBA comments. I'm going to skip past it. Rosmel says she's overhyped. Caitlin Clark is overhyped, but she's the real deal, though. She's the real deal, man. LTK says there's people with better stats than her, but her fans act like she's Jordan. Well said. She is Jordan as far as popularity to the WNBA. She's comparable to Jordan to the NBA. They just released Caitlin Clark's sneaker yesterday, I think. It sold out in 10 minutes. So she's comparable to Tiger Woods, Serena, Jordan as a star. As a player, she's a top 5 player, whatever you consider a top 5 player. But she's young, so she's a young top 5 player. Like, who in the NBA could we compare her to? young. She's better than Halliburton. Who's top 5 young? SGA, but he's MVP and won a championship. So she has never even won a playoff series yet. Who's in the NBA is young, in the top 5 to 7 players, but hasn't done anything yet? She's Ant-Man. She's more popular than Ant-Man. See, Caitlin Clark, her popularity is like LeBron or Steph Curry, but her actual on court is like Ant-Man. Is Ant-Man, first of all, Ant-Man is not a top 5 player. So she might be like Luka. Luka is a top 5 player who hasn't won. She's like Luka with LeBron James or like Michael Jordan popularity, something like that. All right, I'm going to stop talking about Caitlin Clark. A lot of Caitlin Clark fans are racist. I keep saying I'm going to stop talking about it, but y'all have some good comments. Many of them are in the comment section. But you know what? These comment sections, especially on like Twitter, I've decided, first of all, I'm going to get off of X. It's just too negative now. The comment sections are some of the most horrific things I've ever seen. I remember the comment sections on TMZ used to be terrible. I think they got rid of comment sections altogether. I think they should do that on Twitter because the racist, sexist, disgusting comments that's in the comment section are hard, it's hard to see. And a lot of Caitlin Clark fans really feed into that. All right, I'm going to stop talking about Caitlin Clark, even though I see a lot of good comments on there. Jamil Live says, did Karis have a learning disability when he was young? The link is in the description below. Oh, a lot of Caitlin Clark on here. I want to comment, but I'm going to move on. There's a lot of because she's white on here. Come on, KP, let's keep it a buck. Black versus white. Reese Clark always sells Magic Bird. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Rod Justice, you had a good point. I'm just gonna move on from Caitlin Clark, but you made a good point on here. Let me scroll down a little bit and see what we're doing. I mean, I could talk about this all day on here. Terrence Hill says, I still have the 2001 WNBA All-Star game on VHS. That's dope. I think the greatest All-Star game of all time, in my opinion, was the one when Magic had the HIV and had to retire, but he came back for the All-Star game. I think the show Magic Johnson put on was the greatest All-Star game performance I ever saw in my life, including that last shot he hit over Isaiah Thomas, I believe it was. And there was still time left on the clock, but everybody just let the game just end. Like, let's let the game end right here. I think that's the greatest All-Star game I ever saw in my life. Now I don't even watch it. It's now All-Star games are unwatchable to me. A woman can't hang in no NBA locker room, bro. Come on, now y'all tripping. Yes, they can. There's mad women reporters be in the locker room. You know, guys be in the locker room. There's a little time period where they go take a shower. Then when they come back, you know, the coaches come back in. It's the same like men coaching women. I don't see that as a problem. I don't see a woman not being able to go into a man's locker room is the reason why you don't hire a great basketball mind. If you believe this woman can take your team to over the hump, but you won't hire her because she can't go in the locker room, I just don't think that's it. It could be, I could be wrong. But I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure Becky Hammond was on the San Antonio Spurs for what, 5 years? She's been in plenty locker rooms, man. LT K says, was there a secret fourth rapper outside of the big three that all the big three kept an eye on? Like he'd be a problem down the line? Keep your on this LL Kid type energy. I guess at that time, Cool G Rap was a young up and comer, but to me, he was way like, I think Cool G Rap is bigger now in people's minds than he was in 88, 89. This is my opinion. Cool G Rap now, people mention Cool G Rap now with higher regard than when Cool G Rap was out in 88, 89. He was on the next tier down from like Rakim and KRS Kane, Slick Rick, Public Enemy. That was the tier. But I would say G Rap was a dude that was on the rise, because even Slick Rick came out with The Great Adventures. This is my opinion. Slick Rick came out with The Great Adventures and killed everything in 88, 89. But we already knew who he was. Like, he had already did Lottie Dottie in the show. So we already knew he was a monster. And Red Alert was playing The Rule Is Back every week for like a year. So it wasn't like Slick Rick was really gone. We in New York got Slick Rick in 87 all year. Then The Great Adventures dropped. So Slick Rick was a real problem back then too, but I wouldn't say he was a person to be kept an eye on. I would say G-Rap was the guy that people was like a dope MC that people kept an eye on, but he was a tier down to me. That's my opinion. He's bigger now, though. Terrence Hill says, yeah, but KRS saved LL when he said on The Bridge Is Over, it was South Bronx. Instead of trying to take out LL, you need to take your homeboys off the crack. And in the show, he says, instead of trying to take out LL, you need to take Mr. Magic off the crack. That's what he would say in the show. He didn't say that in the record. I don't know if he saved LL, but he definitely answered. Shan had dissed LL, and KRS answered for LL, not for LL, but LL didn't have to say anything because KRS said it. Let's see. Reggie Johnson says, some of y'all act like y'all never have ever had a female boss. I agree. Especially if this female boss can affect your playing time. Do you think they wouldn't listen? If they respect her basketball mind and respect the way she carries herself, they would listen to her, I believe. Once again, I could be wrong. Knicks need to get Mark Jackson. For some reason, he's blackballed. I've come to the conclusion that he's blackballed. I'm not exactly sure why. I've heard comments that when he was at Golden State, he was trying to force religion on the players, and there was a backlash over that or something, because he did a great job at Golden State. But Mark Jackson is blackballed. because there's no other reason why he shouldn't have got another chance. Patrick White says Citywide was the top tournament when I was coming up. KP, did you ever hear of Jerome Pickett tournament? No, I did not. Citywide, if you had a Citywide shirt, you was everything, man. Terrence Hill laughing at slapping the backboard on a layup. Yeah, man, we all used to do that. Betty Doyle, big up Betty Doyle says nobody slapped like Chris Webber. Chris Webber still slapped the backboard. Oh man. Brooklyn Geek says Catholic schools ruled New York City basketball back then. I don't know if they ruled. As a public school kid, I might have to fight that. They had some good teams though. I see people talking about Glenn Rice. I'm mad at Glenn Rice because I was rooting for Seton Hall to win the championship in '89. I had some good friends on that team. Big up Gerald Green from Brooklyn, from Bed-Stuy. That was my dude, is my dude forever. Big up John Walker on that team. That Seton Hall team lost in overtime the national championship to Michigan. Glenn Rice was killing them, man. Oh, so man, I never liked Glenn Rice only because of that. He was a great player. I just never liked him because of that. Patrick Watts says slapping backboards was a step down below dunking. Yeah, I used to slap I used to slap back both sides of the backboard after I saw Ed Pinkney from Stevenson High School do it in a layup line. Oh yeah, shout out to Ed Pinkney from Stevenson. Another great news. That's when the Big East was the shit. Yeah, slapping both sides of the backboard. We used to do all that, lay it up and then try to do a pick. Used to do all that. But if somebody slapped the backboard on you, that was like a step down from dunking. But if you couldn't dunk, that was almost the equivalent of a dunk. And what's worse than that, if somebody pinned your shot on the backboard. Remember, we used to call it glasses somebody's shit. Somebody glass, but we wasn't playing on glass. We didn't have fiberglass. But if somebody pinned your layup on the backboard, that was disrespect in New York. Sydney Rhodes says Pearl Washington used to turn the Big East tournament out. Yes. I went to see Pearl at the Big East tournament his freshman year against Georgetown. It was ridiculous. I was in the crowd watching that ridiculous display. Scuba says his brother Escalade was nice too. Yeah, Mark Jackson's brother. Big up to him. Rest in peace. Patrick Wise says Shelton Jones, the Amityville Horror. Yeah, I'm way behind. We're at an hour and a half. I'm going to scroll all the way down, y'all. And wow, Dave Michaels. Wow, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, Kenny. West Coast love from Santa Cruz, California. Big up to the West Coast. I love your show. Keep hip hop alive. Thank you. I'm trying so hard on here. We're a family. It's a hip hop family, so this is what we're doing. West Coast love from Santa Cruz, California. I love your show. Oh, you said it the same thing twice. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. If you're new, welcome. I think I've seen your name before though, but thank you so much for your contribution. Yeah, we're trying to keep hip hop. We just talk about hip hop sports. We talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. For the most part, we're trying to keep it, narrow it down now to like hip hop and sports and music in general. I will be I'm starting a new beat series. On here, I'm going to unload some beats. First, the beats that some of the beats you guys have heard. Then I'm going to start playing you some stuff y'all haven't heard. I'll be dropping the first beat, which will be the piano beat tomorrow morning. It's already up and ready to go. I'm going to send it tomorrow morning. I'm going to give the Rewind crew a chance to listen to this. Then I'm going to post that beat. Something to ride to for you guys. I'm going to start posting beats once a week. Although this week I'm probably going to put up like 2 or 3. Then it's going to be once a week. Thank you, Dave Michaels. Comment section. The NBA is becoming unwatchable. I kind of agree. Between all the flopping, I was watching one game, and I counted up and down the court 7 3-pointers in a row. 3-pointer, 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 7 in a row. I was like, I just can't watch another person chuck up a 3. Between that and the flopping and the constant reviews every few seconds, you got to stop the game for the ref to watch something for 5 minutes. They show the replay. I mean, some things are hard to call, but some things should take 10 seconds. Replay, bang, bang, bang. All of these stoppages of play, it is becoming hard to watch for me. I agree. Tampa Bay says, I'm late. What up, community? Come on, Tampa Bay. We about to check off. We had an hour and a half. I'm about to sign off. Antoine Ware says, why would someone even want that job as coach of the Knicks? Really? You know what it is? Because if you win in New York, it will be unlike anywhere else in the world. If a coach brings the Knicks a championship, they're still talking about Red Holtzman. I think his name is hanging in the rafters for bringing the Knicks a championship 50 years ago. And I think, the allure of what you can do if it goes well is what attracts people to New York. And the New York have a contending team. The New York reached the Final Four. The Knicks are in the Final Four. That's a contender. So we'll see. Yo, folks, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Breaking news, Diddy just acquitted of all charges, not guilty. Is this real? Hold up. I gotta come online, man. Jury ensuring Diddy Combs trial continue deliberating. Judge, I'm looking at CNN right now. It says the judge told jurors to continue tomorrow morning. Brother. Yo, folks, it's breaking news. Diddy just acquitted of all charges, not guilty. Thank you for your contribution to the channel, but that is absolutely not true. That is not true. I just looked at CNN just now, and they're saying what I thought I saw before I got on is that the judge sent everybody home till tomorrow. So for those in the Rewind crew, that maybe about tomorrow morning that could be true. All right, I'm scrolling to the very bottom, and I'm going to jump off. Yeah. MMA says, yo, folks, that's not true. Stop. Stop the false, folks. Philly said, get your lying ass out of the chat. You know what, folks? I appreciate your contribution to the channel. Thank you so much. But I have to concur with Philly Sheed right now. Get your lying ass out the chat, bro. We try to keep it factual here. I'm going to leave that up as I jump off. And MK Ultra, I'm leaving with this. Jive turkeys act like they don't know. I'm gonna leave it on jive turkeys for that one. I don't know where you got your information from, but according to CNN, that is not true. All right. Friday, God willing, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be jumping back on. Tomorrow morning, I'm dropping a beat. Might drop another beat Thursday morning. And I'm going to do another epic fail. I'm working on that. And I'm working on the audio book. I'm almost done. And big up to the Rewind crew. Wait a minute. Yo, folks. Once again, your contribution is very much appreciated. He says, but we got to keep hope alive. Are you part of Bad Boy? Are you part of the Combs family, yo, folks? And are we hoping that Diddy gets off? For me, I just want justice served. If Puff is innocent, let the man out and stop trying to railroad the man. He's done some very creepy, even horrendous things towards women. But if he is not guilty of racketeering, then stop trying to railroad the man. If he's guilty of what they say he is, then throw him under the jail. That's my stance. I just want justice to be served, whatever it is. Now, yo, folks, obviously you want Puff to get off. And there's mad people that do. So maybe, I'm just for here. I just want the facts. So just be factual, folks. Maybe another day or two, maybe by Friday when we jump on, we'll have a verdict and we can talk about it. But let's just let justice be served, man. All right, I'm jumping off. All right, peace, y'all.